if you are in Nigeria right now, you will understand that social media is blowing up. Lots of tweets, lots of messages. Everybody is talking about the same thing. Trump has come again. He has said something and Nigeria has appeared in his statement. So this is unique, this is different, and this is something that really calls for serious attention.
Could be. I mean, a lot of things I envisage, a lot of things. They're killing record numbers of Christians.
Trump said Nigeria is committing genocide against Christians. And just like that, something that has been happening in Nigeria for over 40 years, something that's killed tens of thousands of people, is finally getting international attention. But here is the thing, this story is more than just a single tweet. And if you must understand it, then we really need to go deeper so that you can understand exactly how it started, how it's going, and what will likely end it. Okay, let's talk about how it started. A few days ago, Trump issued a warning to the Nigerian government and talked about the genocide against Christians in Nigeria. And he said there will be consequences if nothing was done about it. That is where we find ourselves today. Now, genocide isn't just a word president just throw around. Under international law, it means the deliberate attempt to destroy a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group. It's one of the most serious accusations one government can make against another. And we are talking about Nigeria here, Africa's most populous nation, over 200 million people. So why will Trump risk an important ally? Why does he want to risk a diplomatic tie with an important ally in West Africa? What is really happening on ground? I've spent the last few days digging deep to exactly find out what this issue is all about. But the more I research and the more I dig deep, I find out that this story goes way back to the colonial era, climate change, religious crisis, and the government that just doesn't want to protect its people. To understand what's happening, we need to look at a specific part of Nigeria called the Middle Belt. This is where Nigerians' Muslim majority north meet the Christian majority south. Over the last 15 years, this region has become one of the deadliest places on earth for Christians. Between 2009 and 2024, over 52,000 Christians have been murdered, massacred, raped, killed, villages burned down, churches destroyed, people running for their lives, helter-skelter, no one coming to save them. And the attack follows a pattern. They usually happen at night. Armed groups raid Christian farming communities. They kill, they burn, they disappear. Plateau State alone, over 200 killed in coordinated attack. Benue State, 81 killed in New Year's Eve day. Kaduna State, 140 killed across multiple villages. In Plateau State, 2024 Christmas Eve, a day to remember, 195 people killed in their sleep. And honestly, that's one question the Nigerian government has failed to answer properly. Sometimes you may hear things like, they are not Nigerians, they are bandits, they are being paid to come and massacre Nigerians and they cross the border and go. Now the question is, who is in charge of protecting the borders? Who is in charge of protecting the lives and property of Nigerians? This is one way the government has failed these people. So when Trump says Christians are targeted, he's simplifying something that is systematically complex. Are Christians not targeted? They are. And it's not just the deaths, it's the fear. Entire Christian communities in the Middle Belt live in constant terror. They form their own vigilante group because when they call the police or the military for help, nobody shows up. If they show up at all, it's too late. So the question becomes, if this has been happening for over a decade, why is Trump talking about it now? And why has the rest of the world been so quiet for so long? Let's talk about that now. Nigeria's religious divide isn't natural. It's engineered, and it starts with British colonialism. When the British colonized Nigeria in the early 1900s, they found something incredibly complicated. Hundreds of ethnic groups, multiple religions, completely different systems of government. So they did what colonizers do. They oversimplified everything. In the colonial era, the British did what we call indirect rule. So in the Muslim north, they allowed the Islamic emirs and they allowed them to rule with Islamic laws. While in the south, they brought in missionaries who built churches and built schools and changed the ways things were done in the south. So what the British did you end up with two completely different regions. People who are not united. And in 1960, it became a polarized nation of people who were never unified and don't trust or like each other. For the first few decades after independence, Nigeria managed to keep a delicate political system. Leadership was rotated between Christians and Muslims. Coups took place. We managed to maintain our unity. And religion was really never the dividing factor during the military era. But everything changed in 1999 when the civilian regime and democracy took its full-time effect. Things started to change in 1999 when 12 northern states adopted Sharia law as their official legal system. This wasn't just symbolic, it means different legal systems for different parts of the same country. And for the Christians living in those states, it often meant being treated as second-class citizens. Then came the religious crisis. The city of Jos alone in 2001, 2008, and 2010. Lots of people were killed and murdered. I personally live in Jos, and I know how we had to relocate to the nearby Abuja town just to escape the crisis that was happening in that city. Lots of people were killed, lots of properties were destroyed, and this even deepened the divide the more. But the real turning point came in 2009 with the rise of Boko Haram. Boko Haram means Western education is forbidden. They started as a very simple sect in the northeastern region. But when their leader was killed in 2009, they became a much more radical and violent group. They launched a campaign of terror, bombing churches, attacking Christian villages, kidnapping schoolgirls. Remember Chibok, the 276 girls kidnapped in 2014. That sparked the Bring Back Our Girls campaign. That was Boko Haram. And while Nigerian army eventually pushed Boko Haram out of most major cities, the violence didn't stop. It just spread. It evolved. And that brings us to the farmer header crisis. Climate change is something that is rarely really talked about, but it has its own case and it has its own stake in the problems we're having in the Middle Belt. The Sahara Desert is expanding rapidly, more than 30 miles per year, and is pushing the Fulani herders in a direction where you have this overcrowding, because as desert encroachment continues, it continually pushes them south to where this population been talking about is residing. So you've got herders desperately needing land for their cattle. You've got farmers who've been on that same land for generations, competitions for resources. Then add in the fact that the herders are predominantly Muslims and the farmers are predominantly Christians. Add in weapons, add in extremist ideology, add in government that either it's unable or unwilling to help. And get what we are seeing today, a crisis that is part land disputes, part religious conflicts, part criminal violence, and part climate disaster, all happening at the same time. And that is why calling it genocide is both understandable and incomplete. And why is Trump talking about it now? There are a few reasons, but it's not really about helping people. First, Trump has strong support from evangelical Christians in America. And for years, evangelical groups have been lobbying Washington to do something about what's happening to Christians in Nigeria. They have been compiling reports, bringing survivors to testify before Congress, and pushing for actions. Second, this fits Trump's whole approach to foreign policy. He's willing to publicly call out allies in ways other presidents haven't been, whether it's NATO countries, trade partners, or in this case, Nigeria. And third, and this is important, the situation has genuinely gotten worse. 2003 and 2024 saw some deadliest attack in years. That Christmas Eve massacre in Plateau State, where nearly 200 people were killed, that shocked even people who thought they had seen everything. But what does a warning from a US president actually mean? What can America really do? Well, the US and Nigeria have a pretty significant relationship. America is one of Nigeria's largest trading partners. The US provides military assistance and training. American oil companies have billions of dollars invested in Nigerian oil. So Trump has options. He could impose sanctions on Nigerian officials. He could cut military aid under something called the Lethe Law, which stops US assistance to foreign security forces that violate human rights. He could restrict visas. He could pull back intelligence sharing. But here is where it gets tricky. Nigeria also has its great importance in West Africa in the fight against terrorism. And I don't think US will want to lose an ally, BRICS. The fight for terrorism in West Africa might really become jeopardized. What will US also lose in these diplomatic issues? So this is basically a high-stake game. The Nigerian government is hoping that they can just ride off the criticism, and President Trump is also hoping that public pressure from different angles could make the Nigerian government to start to act. So how has Nigeria responded?
The notion that there is a Christian persecution or genocide in Nigeria is false. False both from the premise and the conclusion. It is not supported by data.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration has pushed back hard against the genocide label. They are arguing this is criminal violence, not genocide. That Muslims are also victims of this attack, which is actually true. That the government is doing everything it can with limited resources, which is debatable, and that this kind of external interference undermines Nigerian sovereignty, which is the classic defense.
Things need to be done. It's bad. And if things are not done, this will continue because Nigeria, I know, they're not willing to stop anytime soon.
It's not only the Christians they are killing. They are killing those who are not Christians too.
And you see, it's actually very true when they say Muslims are also being attacked. We've seen lots of attacks in Northeast. We've seen kidnappers everywhere around Kaduna Road. We've seen bandits dealing with people in the Northwest, Muslim children also being kidnapped in Yobe, and people are killed everywhere in Sokoto. So it is going to really be unfair to assume that Muslims are not also affected in this matter. But here is what the Nigerian government can't really explain, which is the pattern: the highly motivated attacks against the Christian-dominated communities, targeted killings, and the rape, the massacre that happens at night. And sometimes when some of all these communities call out for help, nothing comes to their aid. And here's something that really should bother us all. The international community has been silent about this for decades. I asked the question, why now? Part of it is that the conflict is genuinely complicated and doesn't fit into neat narrative. And maybe we could say that the Africans, which are black people, do not really get much attention compared to Europeans and Americans or white people in general. Until now, Trump's statement has actually put this matter on a top burner, which is very important, at least to say the least, for lots of Nigerians who have been yearning for help for over 4 decades. But what do Nigerians actually think about this? Because this is not just a geopolitical chess. It's all about people's survival, and will people see the next day without fearing for their lives if they are going to be murdered in their sleep? I've been reading Nigerian social media, newspapers, talking to people, and honestly, you get really mixed pictures. Some Christians in the affected areas are saying finally somebody with powers is really calling a spade a spade. People are happy in some of those Christian-dominated areas that at least their voices and their cries is finally getting attention, which is a very important one for that matter. But a lot of Muslims feel unfairly blamed. They point out that they are victims too. That lumping all Muslims in with extremists is dangerous and wrong. That this kind of rhetoric will actually increase religious tension instead of reducing it. And many Nigerians across religions line are just frustrated with their own government. They are tired of the corruption, tired of the security forces that don't protect them, tired of politicians who use religion to divide people while they are looting the country. There is one more piece to this that we need to talk about, which is poverty and youth growing unemployment. Nigeria has one of the world's highest unemployment rate at about 40%. Now imagine an extremist group like Boko Haram recruiting people. It becomes very easy to recruit young Nigerians who do not have job and rely on some of the stipends that these violent extremist organizations are willing to give in exchange for them to sacrifice their lives for them. Imagine you are a young man with no job, no prospect, no hope. You are watching your family struggle. Then someone shows up, offers you money and a sense of purpose. Even if that purpose involves violence, it becomes tempting. That is exactly how extremist groups and criminal gangs recruit. So the solution to this crisis is not just military. It has to involve a political will and the desire to drive people out of poverty. People who are hungry are willing to do anything to survive. So what's actually happening now that Trump has issued this warning? Scenario 1, Nigeria takes immediate action, sends some military and police to the Middle Belt. Trump declares victory, US and Nigeria relation continues. Scenario 2, and honestly the most likely, which is sending a few underfunded and understaffed troops, do patrols, declare coffee, one or few arrests, which really does not change anything. Scenario 3, Nigeria tells Trump to back off and lean on Russia and China and worsens our diplomatic ties with the United States. Scenario 4, Trump goes ahead with the consequences, issues sanction, cuts aid supply, restrict visa of our political office holders. That worsens the economy, and maybe military action, which will even make matter worse. The violence will continue and we'll all return to square one. So what will actually work? What will stop the killing? Based on what experts say, is going to require multiple things. 1, real security reform. Nigeria needs a police force that actually responds when communities call for help. Military leadership that isn't corrupt, and they need to prosecute the people carrying out these attacks instead of just letting them go. 2, economic development. Young people need jobs. Rural communities need infrastructure. There needs to be something other than violence for people to turn to. 3, addressing climate change, helping herders adapt, creating sustainable grazing areas, finding ways for farmers and herders to coexist instead of competing for the same land. 4, religious dialogue. Muslim and Christian leaders actively working against extremism and promoting coexistence, because the vast majority of both communities don't want this violence. 5, accountability. Real mechanism to document what's happening and hold people responsible, whether through Nigerian court or international ones. Here is the hard truth. All of this takes time and people are dying. I want to be honest with you, making this video is really been very difficult to do. I'm a Nigerian, growing up, loving our diversity, Christian and Muslims coexisting, even intermarrying and doing businesses across the country. But I will tell you for free that December is approaching, and it's really very difficult for some of us who travel to the southeast to even travel, because we have the kidnappers, we have the bandits, we have people who kidnap for ransom, we have people who kidnap for organ sales, all tormenting our lives. Every day in a WhatsApp forum, kidnappers have come into a particular village and have taken 2 people. The recent one, people went to a burial ceremony, kidnapped people in the burial ceremony, demanded ransom, killed somebody, and when the ransom was even brought, the people that brought the ransom, they were flogged 10 each for bringing the ransom late. Now imagine a Nigeria that we had always dreamt of, a Nigeria that we all are willing to stand for, and a Nigeria that we want to eradicate this menace together. But I also know people who have been affected by this violence. I've heard their stories, I've seen the fear in their eyes when they talk about going back to their villages. And I've really struggled with how to tell this story without making things worse, because the last thing Nigeria needs is more division. More us versus them, more religious hatred. I want to be absolutely clear. This story is not about Islam versus Christianity. Muslims are also wonderful people. Not all of them are violent. Majority of them are people who are just trying to live their lives and better themselves every day. And they are suffering too. Trump warning has done something significant to Nigeria. It has forced people to pay attention for a matter that has been ignored for far too long. Over 52,000 people dead. That's the equivalent of a stadium full of people, and each one of them had a name, a family, and a story. Whether the international community calls it genocide or not, whether we all call it genocide, the fact remains, people are dying and people are being killed and murdered every day. I hope this video has been able to help you understand what is happening. Not just the simplified version, but the messy, complicated story that we have all found ourselves in. Nigeria is my country, and I want a Nigeria where farmers and herders are able to coexist, Christians and Muslims are able to live without fear, and people are able to carry on their lives without fear or intimidation. and politicians are going to be held accountable for the promises that they make to us. Thank you for watching this video. Do not forget to like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on your notification button so that you'll be the first to get any new video whenever I drop. Now, make it a great day, and thank you for your time.